Hello everyone, back to Proverbs, and today we're in Proverbs 25. Proverbs 25 has a few good things that I could share with you, and I'm going to just focus on maybe one or two. But as we go through Proverbs 25, my prayer to you is that you keep on seeking truth and that nothing stops you. So let's read Proverbs 25 together. These are more Proverbs of Solomon, collected by the advisors of King Hezekiah of Judah. It is God's privilege to conceal things, and the king's privilege to discover them. No one can comprehend the height of heaven, the depth of the earth, or all that goes on in the king's mind. Remove the impurities from silver, and the sterling will be ready for the silversmith. Remove the wicked from the king's court, and his reign will be made secure by justice. Don't demand an audience with a king, or push for a place among the great. It is better to wait for an invitation to be the head table than to seat away in public disgrace. Just because you've seen something, don't be in a hurry to go to court. For what will you do in the end if your neighbor deals you a shameful defeat? When arguing with your neighbor, don't betray another person's secret. Others may accuse you of gossip, and you will never regain your good reputation. Timely advice is lovely, like golden apples in a silver basket. To one who listens, valid criticism is like gold earrings on other gold jewelry. Trustworthy messengers refresh like snow in summer. They revive the spirit of their employer. A person who promises a gift but doesn't give it is like clouds and winds that bring no rain. Patience can persuade a prince, and soft speech break bones. Do you like honey? Don't eat too much, or it will make you sick. Don't visit your neighbors too often, or you will wear out your welcome. Telling lies about others is as harmful as hitting them with an axe, wounding them with a sword, or shooting them with a sharp arrow. Putting confidence in an unreliable person in times of trouble is like chewing with a broken tooth or walking on a lame foot. Singing cheerful songs to a person with a heavy heart is like taking someone's coat in cold weather or pouring vinegar in a wound. If your enemies are hungry, give them food to eat. If they are thirsty, give them water to drink. You will heap burning coals of shame on their heads, as the Lord will reward you. As surely as a north wind brings rain, so a gossiping tongue causes anger. It is better to live alone in a corner of an attic with a quarrelsome wife than in a loving home. Good news from far away is like cold water to the thirsty. If the godly give in to the wicked, it is like polluting a fountain or muddying spring. It's not good to eat too much honey, and it's not good to seek honors for yourself. A person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls. This morning, again, like I said, there's so many good things in here. I like the ones about enemies, do feed them and give them something to drink, because it's like putting burning coals on their head. I think Paul says that too. But this also gives us some wisdom in how to deal with people who are our enemies. Love them, care for them, and hopefully you could win over a friend. But the verse I want to bring out today is verse 2. And it says this: "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings is to search out a matter." Glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings is to search out a matter. And God has put in each and every single one of us curiosity. We all seek some sort of truth in some place or another, but sometimes we don't want to compute and put in the equation of our search the idea of God and the idea of God of the Bible. It's like we'll try everything else, like in the variable that's in our equation, we'll put anything else and we'll try to fit it in, try to figure out how things go in life, but we never put down God. I mean, as we see in the creation story, we have God created the world, but yet we never really look to the world. God created, he was commanded by his supreme being. There was disobedience, there was sin, and then the consequence was people had to suffer pain and hunger and disease and all the challenges in life. And we clearly see this in Genesis, but then, we don't always ask questions about what happened in the story before Adam and Eve. After they were created to the point where they made the mess that they did, we don't usually ask, the questions when we see other cultures have this story. We never really dig. And, we think the story would stay the same, but then somewhere along the lines, it changed. And like today, too, when it comes to information, we may not do the due diligence of searching the actual facts. We do this in politics all the time, fact checking, who's telling the truth, who isn't. But then, I think our fact checking sometimes is also biased. And for us too, we listen to every single thing out there and we just accept it as that's truth. That's what's there. That's what people are saying. That's what the news says. And that's probably how it is. But in the reality, there is so much that we don't understand. Let's talk politics for a little bit. I'm not supposed to. But do I agree with everything our president says and does? On a surface level, probably not. But on a deeper level, I can't really say because I really don't know. And we see on the news too, one side of a story, or maybe they try to encapsulate more sides of the story, but it doesn't have everything there, and we don't give it due diligence to learn and figure out what really is going on there. And that's one way governments take over. That's one way democracy dies. But then that's also one way that we see that God has given us things, that there are things that are hidden, and it's not necessarily because he hides them from us, but because mankind has hidden it from us. But the wise are the ones that seek answers, to the question of what is really truth. And the question for us is, how far are we willing to go for it? And like I said, we've been so busy just absorbing whatever the world gives us and then pursuing our own needs and our wants throughout the day that nothing really matters at the very end. But the verse here encourages us to see that those who seek God, those who seek truth, are the wise ones, because then we would understand why we live the way we live. You see, in life, we are all driven by some sort of philosophy, and a philosophy comes from somebody or somewhere. Either someone gave it to our parents, or parents gave it to us. We've heard it from someone, and it becomes our philosophy for our life. And if we don't have a right theology, which is an understanding of God that drives our philosophy in our life, then we're just going to live life running around in circles, making ends meet and living for ourselves, and we're not seeking truth, and then at the very end, we have nothing to show for our lives. So, my friends, encouragement for you. Seek truth. Don't be too readily to make judgments based on what you hear or what I hear, but seek truth. Hear both sides. Hear multiple sides, and then come up with a wise, critical thought answer, or at least understanding. And here's the thing about understanding too. Just because you went through and did the critical thinking at that one time doesn't mean it stops there. You see, our knowledge evolves. Yes, it might be setting in the same direction, but then it evolves a little bit and changes with more information that we add in. Being a younger pastor in our district, it's really interesting. One of the things older pastors say is that our theology for younger pastors is not very sound. It's not solid. It's not rock solid. It's not firm. And I would have to admit, yes, we don't just, hold on to the traditions of theology and understanding of God. The reason why is because from resources here, and this is my opinion too, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the resources that we have here that our forefathers thought were good, they translated into Vietnamese. Those became standards that people studied by, and those are the only things that you believe. This is it, this is the truth, don't question it, and there isn't anything else to question it with. Being a student here in the United States, I went to a Christian college, and then I went to a Christian university for my master's degree. And there were a lot of different opinions and theologies. And if I just said, I'm just going to accept every single thing that they said, I would be in trouble because, some things do conflict because people have different ideas of certain things. What do I hold true and how do I prove it to myself? And I think young people today who do go through theological training, they have maybe more of a critical thought process than maybe some of the people who just hang on to truth without really testing it. Now, if I offended any of you, sorry, but then let's have a discussion. I'm right now not very versed in all my theology, I'll give you that. But the reality is there were a lot more that I had to weed through than generations previous. Because there's so much stuff out there, and especially now with so much information. The key thing is to search for the truth amidst the noise, to seek silence amidst busyness, so that we can see God for who He is, rather than just to hear it from someone else. So it's great that we're reading books. It's great that we're learning from other people. But I highly encourage all of you, all of us, to seek truth. And the seeking of truth is simply the seeking of God, because truth comes from God. So that is chapter 25 for today. Hope everyone's doing well and hope you will be blessed. and that you'll continue to stick with us to the next series as well too. God bless. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.